Let's tear apart a set of clubs and put them back together better. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Mick Golf Shop, and I'm Jim McCleary, Ohio's most awarded and certified club maker and club fitter. And this is where you can learn some tips of the trade for club fitting, club repair. If you like what you see on the video, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and that way you get to know more about when I put them out, and then that way you can take a look. Today we are taking apart a set of Mizuno JPX EZs. JPX EZs. Now, what is the JPX EZ? It is a forged club. All right, it is a forged club. If you look right in here, it just says it. It says GF forged, and then it tells you the 1025 and the boron. Not so certain about the boron, but GF is grain flowing. All right, that's what Mizuno is known for. It's called grain flow forged clubs. It's good stuff. Okay, 125 is normally the carbon. The boron, I don't know. But hey, you learn something new every day. All right, the EZ. All right, this was a boon for Mizuno in the fact that, you know, Mizuno was known for being a player's club and almost exclusively a player's club. Now out comes the EZ, right? It's got a big old cavity back. If you look at it, it's got a fairly decent offset on it. And if you look right here, that's actually a fairly wide sole, okay? A fairly wide sole, but it's got a undercut right here and an undercut back in here, so that, see if we can get there. There we go. You see how the light catches it? All right, that's so that it can get through the turf easily. I'm sure that the lofts are stronger than their player's edition, so that the ball can go further. I would say it has a fairly thick top line, but it's nothing that's gross or anything. And the badge in the back is very, very decorative. Well, Cal sent us a set of irons, and they have a heavy shaft in it, and he wants a lighter shaft in it, and he wants it to regular flex, and he wants me to take off the grips because they're only about a week or two old. Now we're going to talk about that part of it. Normally I would not do that, all right, and normally I won't. However, if the grip is within a week or two, then it hasn't set and it really hasn't had a chance to get worn. So yes, I will do that. All right, if somebody goes, oh, it's only been on there for a year, will you take it off? No, I'm not gonna. All right, for a couple reasons. One, it gets set in there, and two, if you've been playing golf, it's worn. You need a new set of grips anyway. So we are gonna blow these grips off. So I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. Blowing grips off. There is basically 3 different ways of taking a grip off. One, which is the way we're going to do it, is we're going to use a needle and a pressurized can, and we're going to stick the needle into the grip and push the solvent down, and then it's going to make it easy to slide off. Another way is to avoid using a needle. There's a long bar, and it's a V bar, and you shove it at the end of the grip, and then you pour the solvent down in it. I've not had a whole lot of success with that. I just probably am not using the right technique. A lot of people enjoy that. It's probably a little bit safer. It's just not for me. The other one that I do like is using air. Just like putting on the grips, the new installation method for putting air, where you would put the, let's see if you can see it. You would put a adapter on the end, and you would blow air into it, and it would lift it off of the shaft, and then as it's blowing it up, you would pull it off. And the same way with putting it on. That is very clean. It requires an air compressor, some hose, the adapter, and a bit of skill. Now, some people have put a PVC pipe over the top of it because not all grips are created equal, and some of them have literally blown up. Okay, so you got it. There's a little bit of hazard to every one of these things. You're going to be using solvent for the removal on the needle and on the blade. You're going to have to deal with the needle on one side. You're going to have to deal with the mess with the blade, and then the air is just a matter of, once you get the technique, is just not blowing up the grip, right? So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get you in a little bit closer so you can see what we're doing. We're going to blow off a grip, and that's what we're going to do to the remaining 4 or 5 of these guys that we've got, and then we're going to go forward and put a club together. So let's move on. After a few battery changes and some white balance adjustment, we're after it. So I got my needle. You stick it in there until you feel the shaft. Slide it down the shaft a little bit. You see where it got big and bubbly? It's going to work its way down. At this point you can help it a little bit. There we go. Take that off of there. And off that one comes. Let's try another. Now what it has the opportunity to go this way and go into the shaft. That's the reason why I press against it right here. We don't want that. That's better. You can see it moving right along the shaft. You don't want to get it too big because it'll stretch the rubber really far out of shape. We don't want that. See it working its way down. Takes a little bit to get these guys off. There we go. Pull that guy out. That one slides off. Maybe one more time. There it goes. The corded side's a little tougher than the rubber side, so I want to make sure I get all that nice and loose before we move on. There it comes. A little patience goes a long way. As we watch it walk down the Golf Pride, and then it's going to squirt everywhere. Alright, so that was taking off the grips. I got a few more to do, but you get the idea. It's not very clean, but it gets the grip off, and it saves a little bit of money. So we're going to take off the rest of the grips, and then we'll get to the disassembly. So I'll do that, and we'll come right back. As part of the Mizuno JPX build, we have to take them from a taper tip to a parallel tip. And so the question is, does it affect playability? The answer is no. All right, now what do you mean by playability? Do you mean the playability from a parallel tip to a taper tip? I would again say no. Then they say, oh, you're drilling this out, you're going to remove all this weight, and what are you going to do to the club? All right, so if you guys have seen some of my other ones, the difference between a taper tip and a parallel tip, all right? The idea of a taper tipped shaft is it goes up for about the last 3/8 of an inch, it tapers in. That's the taper part of the taper tip. So if you were really gutsy enough, you could cut off that last 3/8 inch, and now you have yourself some parallel tips, albeit very much more stiff. Or if you have the parallel tips and you want to take this out, so what you're really doing is just getting that last 3/8 inch. So I've always had this burning question, how much does it remove? Because I've always said it's not very much. So I've already weighed these, and we'll go over that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ream these out with the reamer, and then we're going to reweigh them. All right, and we're going to go from there. So what I have is a head clamp from Golf Works. Has the handle on it, and I like this adjustment here, so I'm not tweaking on all these nuts. And now I get a hold on it, so I get a really good grip on it right here. Okay. Then what you've seen in another one, I got a new Grizzly drill press. This thing is awesome. If I would have known now what I known then, this would have been the first thing I bought. So 13 inch, I think this was the 13 inch. It's the model G7943 12-speed drill press. Now why is that so important? Because when you're drilling out metal, going slower is better. Okay, going slower is better. You don't do high-speed drills and you drill all that stuff out. You try and go slower, right? And if you're doing a lot of drilling, then you want to use a lot of lubrication. They have, you can use WD-40. There's special lubrications you can spray in a can or drip out of a bottle in order to make this thing stay, you know, cool longer. But I'm only doing a couple of club heads, so I'm going to make my machinist friends really upset, but I'm not going to use any lubrication. That is because when you put that stuff in there, then you got to go into this big cleaning out process. You got to hit it with acetone to clean out the oils that you just put in there, or you got to go put like a dishwashing soap and really clean it out really good. And then you put the acetone in it to clean that out. And then you have to let everything dry so that there's no films, so the epoxy will hold. If you don't give it time to dry, or you don't clean it out really well, then the epoxy won't bond, and there goes the head flying off. So it's a time management thing. So we're just going to drill right through it. The other part is to have a really good reamer. All right, I went to MCS, and so far it has been a monster boon. I have cut down reaming by minutes. All right, going from my smaller little 10-speed 10-inch monster to this guy, plus a nicer, newer version of this. So we get our light on. See that? We get it going. I've got it going like a 480 RPM, which is about a third of what I used to do it at, and I don't get caught up anymore. And I line it up and I go. Right at this point, all I'm doing is cleaning it out. It's not till the very end. You feel it bottom out, that it's in there. Now what I like doing is I will take my drill and I'll ream out the bottom of this thing just to make sure they get all the metal shavings out of it, and then I'll hit it again to make sure I've gotten all the way to the bottom. Okay, let's talk a reamer a real quick minute here. You'll see that there's different flutes of reamers, and the flute is this groove area in the reamer. There'll be straight flutes, there'll be curved flutes, there'll be reverse flutes, and it's all about where you want the material to go, right? So I'm going to finish this off again. Just a very little bit at the bottom. And it's all done. So now let's find out how much it took off. Now when working with a project on a drill press, you're always going to want to turn it off before you reach in there. I know when you're doing this, you're like, it'd be faster if I could just go and get it. And true that it would be. However, when you're reaching in here and something's spinning, there's always that opportunity to get caught. So let it turn off first and then get underneath of it. Alright, back into the assembly process for Cal and his Mizuno JPXs, the EZ forged. If I sound kind of funny, it's because I got hearing protection in, because I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting here in a little bit. Now, what you've seen already and we talked about is, you know, it's a nice darker finish club. You can tell that it loses a little bit of its luster when it hits on the bottom. That's pretty much true of just about any darker finish. It's just about how fast it comes off. So the other part is that when we're taking these off and we're cleaning them up and we're putting them together, is how do we, maintain that? And we'll go over that when we do the finishing part. Right now, as part of the assembly, you've seen do we did the weighing, we did the spining, and we're going to do some of the flowing here. And the weights came out very, very good, very, very close, very, very consistent. Even for those grips that I pulled off, weigh as much as the new ones, which means I got all the crap out of them, so not too bad. So we're going to make these into a 4.0 flex. That would be get me into the regular range. And I've already tested one, and I'm going to have to cut each one of these shafts about 1/2 of an inch to get me right where I need to be, and they will give us where we need to go. So right along, and we'll speed this thing up as usual.